Hello students, after understanding what is adsorption, today let us understand what is adsorption isotherms. You already know adsorption is a process of accumulation on the surface of a solid. It is usually liquid or gas molecules are accumulating. Now coming to the term, what is isotherm? You already studied in the first year. Iso means same, thermal means temperature. Suppose accumulation takes place at constant temperature, it is called isotherm. We are graphically representing. Before I go to that, let me tell you the definition. It may be asked for 1 mark. Define adsorption isotherm. What is the definition? The variation in the amount of the gas, remember it is accumulation of gas only we are discussing, not the liquid or solid molecules. The variation in the amount of the gas adsorbed by the adsorbent, means on the surface of a solid, with the pressure, means here pressure is varying at a constant temperature. Don't forget to mention the last word because isotherm remains there only. Okay, so at constant temperature, how the accumulation varies with the pressure, if you represent graphically, that is called adsorption isotherm. So you can slightly modify the definition, but don't forget to mention constant temperature. Okay, now there is a one important adsorption isotherm we are studying, that is a Freundlich's adsorption isotherm. Okay, it's a scientist name. He proposed this concept in 1909, which is based on the amount of adsorbate on unit area of adsorbent. Remember this expression, again it can be asked for 1 mark. What is a Freundlich's adsorption isotherm? X by m is equal to Kp to the power 1 by n, where n value is always greater than 1. Okay, now you will ask what are these variables? X is nothing but mass of adsorbate. Students, you know what is adsorbate? The liquid or gas molecules which are accumulating, and here we discuss about the gas molecules only. So X is nothing but mass of adsorbate. Then what is M? It is a mass of adsorbent. I don't want to repeat what is adsorbate and adsorbent again, because you know that are the two components in adsorption. Now here P stands for the pressure, K and N are the constants. Okay, so remember the expression for Freundlich's adsorption isotherm, that is X by M is equal to Kp to the power 1 by n, and value of n is always greater than 1. Okay, now one more important thing what you can understand from this Freundlich's adsorption isotherm, if you plot a graph taking X by M along y axis and P, that is pressure, along x-axis, you can get the graph like this. Okay, so look at the graph. In the graph, what is visible to you? What I took on the y-axis, that is X by M. Mass of adsorbate on the unit area of adsorbent, that is X by M. Pressure along x-axis. So look at the three different temperatures: 273 Kelvin, 244 Kelvin, 195 Kelvin. We understood before in the differences between physical and chemical adsorptions, as the temperature increases, the rate of adsorption decreases. Okay, the van der Waals forces formation is favored at low temperature. So as the temperature increased, there is a more adsorption we can understand in case of chemical adsorptions only, but this adsorption isotherms generally applicable for physisorptions. Okay, so at highest temperature there is a less accumulation. And one more thing you can observe with this graph is, as we increase the pressure, the adsorption increases, no doubt. Okay, but see that almost when the pressure is very high, it is reaching to a saturation. Okay, what you can understand with the phenomenon of adsorption is, suppose there is a solid, accumulation started, initially pressure increased means accumulation increases, adsorption will be more and more as you increase the pressure. But at certain point there will be a saturation, means further adsorption may not happen, or the rate of adsorption becomes almost uniform. That you can observe with this graph. Okay, I think you understood now what is adsorption isotherm. The expression for Freundlich's adsorption isotherm, X by M is equal to Kp to the power 1 by n, and with this graph we understood, as we can observe with the different temperatures, no doubt it is at a constant temperature we study, but at one particular temperature if you observe, at some pressure value there is a saturation of adsorption. Okay, so this is observed with this graph. Now we have to see the feasibility of this expression at different conditions. Okay, so that can be expressed by taking logarithm on both the sides. Okay, here I took x by m and p. Now just look at the next graph. Okay, in the next graph what you can understand, I took log of x by m along the y-axis and pressure along the x-axis what is taken, I took a logarithm on both the sides. Okay, when you plot the graph, it is different. Unlike a previous case, it is not a curve, we got a straight line. Okay, when you plot the slope here, you can understand we got a value of 1 by n as a slope and log k as an intercept. Okay, so after understanding what is friendly adsorption isotherm, we are now checking the feasibility of this. Okay, when log x by m is equal to log k plus 1 by n log p, let us try. I told you the value of n should be greater than 0, or we can consider it is between 0 and 1. Okay, remember here the 1 by n, the values can be between 0 and 1. Okay, now the two conditions you have to think. When it is a lower limit, that is 0, what happens? Or when the value of 1 by n becomes equal to 1, what happens? These are the two things you have to remember. Again, it can be asked for a 1 mark even in the competitive exam also. Okay, remember students, when 1 by n is equal to 0, what happens to x by m? X by m becomes a constant. Okay, when x by m is a constant, what we can predict? What is the conclusion drawn from that? Adsorption is independent of pressure. Okay, now you have to check the possibility. Is it adsorption is independent of pressure? It is independent of pressure only when the value of 1 by n becomes equal to 0. Okay, so now when value of 1 by n is equal to 1, what happens to x by m? X by m is equal to k into p. We know k is already a constant, p stands for the pressure. So if you remove that constant, you can represent it as x by m is proportional to p. What do you mean by this? When you write x by m is proportional to p, the accumulation of gas on the surface of solid or adsorption is directly proportional to pressure. So remember, when the value of 1 by n is equal to 1, adsorption varies directly with pressure, or it is directly proportional to pressure. Okay, so only three things you have to remember here. The first thing, what is adsorption isotherm definition. Second thing is expression for friendly adsorption isotherm, and then taking logarithm on both the sides, the evidences for a friendly adsorption isotherm. When the value of 1 by n is equal to 0, the adsorption is independent of pressure, and when value of 1 by n is equal to 1, the pressure is directly related to the adsorption, or adsorption directly depends on the pressure value. Okay, so this is about the adsorption isotherms. Okay, now we'll continue the next concept here in the adsorption, that is adsorption theory of heterogeneous catalysis. Okay, I told you in the last class what is heterogeneous catalysis. Can you recollect what is heterogeneous catalysis? It is a type of catalysis in which the reactants and the catalyst are in the different physical states or different phases. Okay, let me give you one simple example. Maybe conversion of sulfur dioxide into sulfur dioxide, or formation of ammonia. Any such examples you can consider. Like let me write nitrogen reacts with the hydrogen to give ammonia. It is a reversible process, but we are concentrating in the industrial reactions as a formation of ammonia only. To balance equation, I'll write a 3H2, 2NH3. It is now just a reaction. It is not a catalysis. But when it becomes a catalysis, suppose if I write a catalyst iron is a solid. Okay, so no, the physical states, nitrogen is a gas, hydrogen is a gas, the solid catalyst iron is used here. This is one of the examples for heterogeneous catalysis. In such heterogeneous catalysis, how you can understand the adsorption theory? It can be also studied as a mechanism of adsorption or mechanism of catalysis. Okay, now why we have to consider heterogeneous catalysis only? You may ask a question, why not for a homogeneous catalysis? It mainly works on the principle of physisorption. After accumulation of the reactant molecule, there is a reaction which converts that reactants into products. and after formation of products, those products gets detached. So among physical and chemical adsorptions, we know physical adsorption is reversible. Here we discuss about the heterogeneous catalysis, how it works, what is the mechanism. Okay, now what are the 5 steps in the mechanism? Very easy to remember. The step 1 is a diffusion of the reactant molecules. Okay, so now consider there is a solid catalyst here. It is taken in some closed container. The reactant molecules somewhere present inside the container. Suppose the reactant molecules present here. So what should happen? The reactant molecules must move towards the surface of a solid catalyst. Okay, so that is a step 1, diffusion of the reactants. You may get confused later. The last step is also diffusion only, but the step 1 is diffusion of reactants. The last step is diffusion of products. Okay, so the reacting molecules will come near to the surface of the solid catalyst. That is a step 1, diffusion. Okay, if they are just coming closer to the solid catalyst, the reaction will not happen. The second step is adsorption. Okay, now second step, what happens? These reacting species, maybe in this Haber's process, nitrogen and hydrogen are the 2 different reactants. They will get adsorbed on the surface. This is a step 2. They get accumulated. So there is a step 2. The different molecules may be there. They get adsorbed on the surface of a catalyst where the free surface area is available. So second step over, that is adsorption. Okay, now step 3. You are remembering the mechanism. First the molecules are moving towards the surface of the solid catalyst. Second step, they are accumulating. Step 3, I told you before, a process of adsorption is exothermic. Due to accumulation of these reacting molecules, the molecules will be activated. They get energy. From where they get energy? The energy released from the process of adsorption is absorbed by them. Okay, so remember, due to accumulation, being a process is exothermic, the liberated heat is absorbed by those reactant molecules. They become activated. Now when the molecules become activated, what happens? They collide each other. Due to that collision, the reaction takes place now. The reactants now converted into products. Okay, so this is a step 3 reaction. You understood from where the energy comes from? Energy from the exothermic nature of the process of adsorption. Okay, so reaction happened, reactants already converted into products. Now the step 4 is a desorption. You have to remember, desorption is opposite to adsorption. Okay, so once the product molecules formed, they do not have affinity for the surface of a solid. They get detached. They get separated from the surface of a solid catalyst. So that is called desorption. Okay, now once they get separated, what will happen? They will move away from the surface, and that is called diffusion. As I told you in the beginning, step 1 is diffusion, step 5 is also diffusion, but the nature of the substance is different. First, reactant molecules are diffusing, and at the end, product molecules are diffusing. To make it clear, to make it very simple to you, I will give a very simple example. Let me consider this mechanism of heterogeneous catalysis as a one-day activity in the college for any student. So what is the step 1? First, in the morning, you are coming towards the college. You are coming towards the classroom. That is a diffusion. Okay. Are you just standing outside the classroom? No. You will come and sit inside the class. That is adsorption. Second step, you will come and occupy your place. You are getting seated in the classroom. That is adsorption. Now, if you are just sitting in the classroom, are you understanding everything? No, absolutely not possible. So what you are doing from morning till evening in the college? You are listening, you are interacting. That I consider in this process as a reaction. Okay, so now at the end of the day, your knowledge is different because you have learned something, you are listening to the classes, you are interacting with the teachers. So at the end of the day, your knowledge is different. Okay, again you have to remember, conditions apply. Only when you are interacting, your knowledge will differ. So at the end of the day, you will go out of the class, and I consider that is a desorption. Okay, you are moving out of the classroom at the end of the day and the evening. That is a desorption. Okay, are you staying outside the classroom only till next day? No, you are moving back to the hostel or a home. That is a diffusion. So the first step is diffusion of reactant molecules coming towards the college. Last step is a diffusion of product molecules moving away from the college. Okay, sitting inside the classroom, adsorption. Going out of the classroom, that is a desorption. In between, you are interacting in the class, that is a reaction. So mechanism of heterogeneous catalysis can be remembered with the simple 5 words: diffusion, adsorption, reaction, desorption and diffusion. Okay, I think you understood. It is a very easy. And why we took example of heterogeneous catalysis only? Because on the surface of a solid catalyst, the gaseous molecules can be easily adsorbed. Okay, they accumulate and there is a formation of a weak van der Waals forces. During the formation of the bond, amount of heat liberated is now absorbed by those reactant molecules. They become activated. Once they get activated, they convert into product. You usually studied in a kinetics, the chemical reaction happens because of the collision, and for the collision, from where the energy comes from? Energy comes from the process of adsorption only. Are you clear? Any doubt till here? This can be asked for a 3 marks. Explain the mechanism of catalysis or explain the adsorption theory of heterogeneous catalysis. You must remember 5 steps. No need to draw any diagram there, just for your understanding I told you, but you are theoretically explaining the 5 steps of mechanism of catalysis or adsorption theory of heterogeneous catalysis. Okay, are you clear? This is simple about the adsorption. Okay, now okay, coming to the next important thing, important features of solid catalysts. Okay, you have to know, whenever we take a solid catalyst, there is called one efficiency factor. When you take a solid or a liquid or a gaseous catalyst can be in all the 3 physical states, but if you take a solid catalyst, it has got a more surface area in the powdered form. Okay, it is more efficient in the powdered form. But 2 important things you have to understand when you study about important features of solid catalyst. That is, one is activity and second one is a selectivity. Okay, now what do you mean by activity and selectivity? What is the difference between these 2 terms? Okay, you all studied about a process called hydrogenation before. Yeah, what is hydrogenation? Process of addition of hydrogen. N number of examples you can give where hydrogenation of hydrocarbons you studied, and many more other chemical reactions. Look at the formation of water from hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen in the gaseous state, that is a reactant. Oxygen is also in the gaseous state, converted into water in the liquid form. Okay, now we use a platinum as a catalyst. Now the metals like platinum, nickel, okay, palladium, these are well known catalysts for the hydrogenations. Where hydrogen gets added, it is well known as a catalyst in the industrial process. Why it is platinum is widely used in hydrogenation process? Okay, the activity of such metals with the hydrogen gases is very high. Okay, that means the gases like hydrogen can be easily adsorbed on the surface of the platinum or palladium or nickel. That makes such metals can be used widely in the industrial processes for hydrogenation process. Okay, so whenever you study about activity, you can remember there are some metals like a platinum can be used in the hydrogenation process. That depends on the nature of adsorbate, means in this case hydrogen, and nature of adsorbent also, that is a platinum. And whenever there is a strong bond formation possible, we can expect all the further phenomena what we discussed in the adsorption theory. Okay, so it depends on nature of the gases which are accumulating and nature of the solid on which accumulation taking place. In simple terms, it depends on the nature of adsorbate and adsorbent. Are you clear, students? You know what is adsorbate and adsorbent? In this reaction of hydrogenation, hydrogen is a adsorbate, platinum is a adsorbent. Okay, yes, that is the first point you have to remember. The second one is selectivity. You are looking at the screen here, you are looking at the board, you can see 3 different reactions I wrote. Carbon monoxide reacting with hydrogen, carbon monoxide reacting with hydrogen, carbon monoxide reacting with hydrogen. So what is a simple thing you can observe? Carbon monoxide is a gas, hydrogen is a gas. Carbon monoxide is a gas, hydrogen is a gas. Here also same reactant, same physical state. Reactants are same. But what difference you can make out? The catalyst I used for these 3 different reactions are different only. In the first case I used a nickel. Second case I used a copper in the presence of zinc oxide and chromic oxide. Third case I used only copper. Okay, so depending on the catalyst, look at the right side of the equation. The product formed in the first case, whenever I used the nickel, it was a methane formed from carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Methane and water. Methane is a gas, water is in the liquid state. I don't want to write the physical states of the products, which is not required here because we are discussing about the heterogeneous catalysis. All these are examples for heterogeneous catalysis because solid catalyst we used, but at the same time when we change the catalyst there is a difference in the product formation. Second case, when I used a copper in the presence of zinc oxide and chromic oxide, the product I got is a methanol, methyl alcohol in the liquid state. Okay, same carbon monoxide and hydrogen in the presence of copper, it can give a formaldehyde. Okay, there is a difference in the nature of the product. The product formed is totally different. Okay, now why the product formed is different? Even though you took a same reactants, the product formed is different. Okay, so that means the substance what you added as a catalyst, okay, it will vary, it will make the difference in the reaction. Okay, like I can give a very simple example. From the rice only you can prepare so many items depending on what you added. Okay, you can prepare veg biryani, you can prepare egg biryani also, you can prepare chicken biryani, anything depending on what else you added. So reactant was almost similar, but the catalyst I changed, accordingly the product also changed. Okay, so that comes here selectivity. From that what you can conclude at the end, for all reactions we can't use the same catalyst, or the catalyst can't be used for a group of reactions like nickel for all these. I told you earlier, activity, nickel, platinum, palladium can be used for hydrogenation. Such examples are there. When you study about enzyme catalysis, bio students studied about a role of enzymes in a group of reactions. But here what I wanted to say, for some reactions, some catalyst only, you can't use the same catalyst for all the reactions. There comes a selectivity. Okay, so that is the second feature you have to remember in the solid catalyst. Okay, now one more very important thing usually comes in the part A where there is no choice for you. It will come for a 1 mark question from the surface chemistry. What are a shape selective catalyst, or what is a shape selective catalysis? Okay, so it may be catalyst asked or catalysis will be asked, so slightly you have to modify. Remember the definition. The catalytic reaction that depends on, catalytic action depends on so many factors, but what you have to understand, it depends on the pore structure and the size of the reactant and product. Okay, when you discuss about the accumulation of the molecules, on the surface of catalyst the reactants are accumulating. So when I say pore structure, it is a pore structure of the catalyst, right? The catalytic reaction that depends on the pore structure of the catalyst and size of the reactant and product molecules, it is called shape selective catalysis. Okay, which I'll tell you in the enzyme catalysis in detail. Depending on, suppose if there is a solid here, okay, it is a catalyst. Now suppose there may be a region like this on the surface of the solid catalyst. Suppose some other substance is to bind, it depends on what is the shape of the pore. Okay, what is the size of the reactant molecules or a product formed later on also. So depending on the surface area how it is present, how the catalyst is present, that will decide which reactant should combine. Suppose there is a reactant here, it may have a edge like this, or there is a one more which is having edge like this. Among these two, which can combine, it depends on the pore size. Okay, so it is easy again, you can remember in the shape selective catalysis, the catalytic reaction that depends on the pore structure of the catalyst and size of the reactant and product molecules, it is called shape selective catalysis. Apart from a definition, it can be asked for a 1 mark. Give an example for a shape selective catalyst. Catalysis is a process, catalyst is a substance. Okay, one example which you already studied in the first year about a zeolites. Okay, it is an aluminosilicate, it is having a 3-dimensional fabric like structure which is well known catalyst in petrochemical industries. Okay, the one simple example you must remember, what is the role of ZSM5 is one of the zeolites. It is used in the petrochemical industry. What is the role of that ZSM5 zeolite? It converts alcohols directly into petrol. Reaction called as a dehydration taking place there. Okay, its role of ZSM or one of the zeolite in the petrochemical industry is very unique, and you can remember the example of shape selective catalyst. Okay, usually asked question, what is shape selective catalysis, or give an example for shape selective catalyst. You can remember ZSM5, or sometime next level question can be asked, what is the role of ZSM5 in the petrochemical industry. Okay, what I told you already, ZSM5 is one of the zeolite. It converts alcohols directly into gasoline in the petrochemical industries. Okay, so this is about features of solid catalyst and shape selective catalysis. Okay, I think you understood now what I told you. I told you adsorption theory, 5 steps in the mechanism. I told you solid catalyst, the important features. I mentioned about the shape selective catalysis. Okay, so in the next class we'll study in detail about the enzyme catalysis. What are enzymes, how they carry out the reaction, or what is the role of enzymes in a biochemical reaction, that I'll discuss in detail in the next class. Are you clear? So this is simple about adsorption theory and solid catalyst important features.